Well, hey there. Before I dive in today, I want to share that enrollment is currently open for my preschool sleep program that is going to also come with the opportunity to join me for 6 Zoom support sessions that I will be offering throughout January. So people can join my sleep program called Your Preschool Sleep Champion at any time, but I only offer it with coaching through these 6 sessions 3 times a year. So that is happening in January. I won't be offering sessions like this again until May. So if you're looking for an easy, affordable way to get some extra support from me while you improve your child's sleep, we're talking 2.5 to 6 year olds, now is the time to join. You can learn more by visiting www.allisonedgedy.com/YPSC or click on the link in the show notes. All right, on to today's show. Naps during the toddler and preschool years can be complicated. If your child is 2 years or older and is struggling with bedtime, nighttime wakings, or early morning wakings, chances are that someone in your life has recommended that you drop their nap. So, is that the best answer? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's episode. Hi, I'm Allison Edgedy, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. I'm going to come right out with an opinion that many may not agree with. I believe that the majority of children under 3.5 years old will benefit from a nap most, if not all, days. So, why do I feel that way? In my opinion, the research on naps is really compelling. Several studies on preschoolers have found that a nap helps a child have improved emotional regulation. That means fewer tantrums. The research also shows that children who nap demonstrate more impulse control, which means less hitting, kicking, biting, etc. Improved impulse control can also mean they are more likely to stay in their bed after you tuck them in at night or when they wake up in the middle of the night. That takes impulse control. And last but not least, research shows that preschoolers who nap have improved learning retention. They have studied and found that in the afternoon, the nappers are better able to recall what they learned that morning and what they learned the day before. This, of course, is because our memory consolidates when we sleep. This is not new information, but I think it's interesting to see that a nap plays a role in memory consolidation when it comes to preschoolers. Now, even though I'm a big supporter of preschoolers napping, the reality is that naps for this age group can be tricky. So I want to dive into that a little bit today as you're thinking about what's best for your child. All right, so there is a wide range in the age a child should no longer nap or where they stop benefiting from a nap, and a nap could potentially cause sleep struggles. Some children are going to entirely drop their nap by the time they're 3.5 years old. So they just really are not napping anymore. But others are going to nap all the way until they go to kindergarten, and you may feel like you're forced to drop the nap because they're starting school. And because my kids love to give me the ultimate training by being polar opposites in pretty much every category of parenting, Addison napped all the way until she went to kindergarten, and Ainsley had started to transition away from napping around 3. And by the time she hit 3.5, she rarely napped at all. One thing I think parents don't realize about this final nap transition, so transitioning from one nap to no nap, is that it shouldn't happen suddenly. You don't want to go from having a child who naps every single day to having a child who no longer naps at all, as if a light switch was turned off. The transition away from napping should be a gradual one. Ideally, it should flow through 5 phases. For years, you had a child who took a nap or naps every single day. But then they start to occasionally skip a nap or two each week. So they're napping most days, but not all days. And then they may start to only nap about 50% of the time. So half the week they nap, half they don't. Then the next phase, they're only napping once or twice a week, but not most days. And then they're going to start to nap only once every week or two until finally you'll go weeks without a nap. When a child can step through these phases, they are going to have a much smoother transition away from napping because they're going to be able to avoid getting overtired. It's a big shift to go from having a midday nap to suddenly going, 12 to 13 hours of being awake. But, and this is important, the only way to really ensure that your child does step through each of these phases is to offer rest time daily, even when they stop napping every single day. Because if they aren't given that daily opportunity to rest or sleep, then they're going to drop the nap all the time. So offer the rest time daily. And this is important that you stick to it because if you're wishy washy about whether your child needs to do rest time and sometimes you don't force it, like they push back and you think, like, okay, fine, you don't need to do it today. You took a nap yesterday. We can go play outside or you can watch a show or whatever it may be that's more appealing than taking a nap. I promise that as soon as you open that door a crack, you're almost guaranteed to start to meet a lot of resistance when it comes to the concept of rest time or napping, and then you're suddenly going to have a non-napper. So let's circle back on this window, this 3.5 to 5-year-old window. Obviously, me telling you that some kids are going to stop napping totally by 3.5 and others are going to nap till they go to kindergarten. This leaves us with a big window of when your child may no longer need a nap. So, how do you really know if your child is one of the children who's done napping and doesn't need it, or if they really would benefit from taking a nap? Here are some things to keep an eye on. If a child will fall asleep for a nap, they generally still need a nap, or they need more night sleep. If a child falls asleep in the car when you're driving around during the day, they generally still would benefit from a nap, or at a minimum, more night sleep. So you're going to see a lot of overlap here with these concepts. If a child is grumpy or particularly wired in the late afternoon and early evening, then again, they either still would benefit from a nap or they're significantly short on night sleep. So, how do you know which one it is? Would your child benefit from taking a nap or do they just need to get more night sleep or is it both? Because sometimes it's both. If your child is a mess in the afternoon or evening, they likely would still benefit from a nap. The best way to confirm that's the case is to look at how much night sleep they're getting. If your child is getting under 11 hours of night sleep, it's possible that they actually just need more night sleep. And then they either will probably end up taking a shorter nap or they'll stop falling asleep. If you fall into that group and your child is older than 3 years old and they're taking the long nap, but they're getting under 11 hours of sleep, or they're struggling to fall asleep, a lot of these come together. They're struggling to fall asleep. They're not sleeping as long at night as they should be. One of the first steps that you can take with this age group is to cap the nap. So really, I'll cap naps at all sorts of times for different ages, but particularly once we get over the age of 3, we really don't want to have a nap probably more than an hour and a half if we're unsure. Sometimes we have to cap it down to an hour. So start to cap the nap to see if we can shift some of that sleep over into the night sleep. Another common struggle And when it comes to navigating naps is with schools and daycares. In many all-day programs, they are required to offer rest time. This is usually state mandated. And sometimes kids overnap at school. So school's exhausting. It's like they've gone to an all-day party and they pass out. There's peer pressure, everyone's sleeping, and they just conk out. I love kids napping at schools. I love it for all the reasons that I've already mentioned related to the research. But sometimes we need to find the right balance between how much day sleep they need and how much night sleep. Because if they are napping a crazy long time at daycare, then it's not uncommon for parents to meet bedtime resistance. So, if long naps at school are playing into your struggles, I would start by asking the school to cap the nap at 2 hours or as short as an hour if you've already been working on this at home and you've decided that that's the best length for a nap for your child. So, have a conversation and just explain that you're working on getting them more sleep at night. Could we try it for 2 weeks? Sometimes I'll ask for a short term attempt at this and see if sleep improves and we can revisit. So, ask for a short term trial. Now, I want to acknowledge that I know many schools will say that they can't wake a sleeping child. This is a bit of a topic for another day. I actually think that's a staffing issue. In most states, that's actually not the mandate. The mandate is to let them rest and take a nap if they want one or need one. But most states, the mandate is not that they can't wake them. It's typically more of a staffing ratio number, which I totally appreciate, but it's important to understand why they can't do something and if we can work around it. So there are some schools that will say they can't wake their child and there's your child and there's no way they can work around it. And if that's the case at your child's school, know that you can still help. You get to control the weekends. And as you help your child get the correct amount of night sleep and the right amount of napping if needed, then I assure you they're going to start naturally reducing or dropping that nap at daycare. So you want to prioritize getting that right balance at home so that when you go into Monday, well, not you, when your child goes into Monday, they are really well rested. And guess what? That means they are less likely to take a nap that is too long at school. Okay, so as a quick recap here, it's ideal if you can keep a daily nap or at a minimum rest time because there's still benefits to a child resting until at least the age of 3.5. But some kids will need to nap until they go to kindergarten. And by needing to nap, I mean benefit from the nap. It's ideal if the transition away from napping daily is a gradual one. And keeping rest time is key to making sure that that's the way your child goes about dropping the nap. Also, you may need to cap your child's nap to ensure that they're getting that ideal split between day sleep and night sleep. We want at least 10.5 hours and typically at least 11. But if we have a great napper and they're still getting 10.5 hours, that's okay. But if we're slipping below that, something's off in our mix here. So I know that this final nap transition can be tricky. Some parents will say it's been the most challenging one they go through. Just a reminder that if things aren't going well, because it's not going to be perfect every day, an early bedtime is your child's friend and is your friend. And if you have a 2.5 to 6-year-old and you would like more support around naps and or night sleep, I encourage you to enroll in my January Your Preschool Sleep Champion session. You'll receive lifetime access to the online program and the private podcast, but you're also going to receive the opportunity to join me for live Zoom Q&A sessions throughout the month of January. I'll link to the info page in the show notes, or you could always shoot me a DM on Instagram at Sleep and Wellness Coach, and I will send you the link. I hope you'll join me here again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.